Hey, I'm Jamie, and I'm the creative director of Clawpunk and the Kittens in Timespace.
So, Jamie, talk about, for people who don't know what this game is, give us the elevator pitch about what this game's all about.
This is an action platformer, love letter to all of the sort of films that have inspired us over the last 30 to 40 years. It's a roguelite with lots of chaos, smashing, and bashing.
So, where did the idea for the game come from?
I love games that allow you to cause carnage, very much inspired by sort of Doom's resurgence since 2016, where you're rewarded for just charging right into the fray. So I wanted to create a game like that. Not exactly like Doom, of course. I've got to stay realistic here. But when we decided to make a game, it was naturally going to be a roguelike that allows us to play around with things like procedural generation, smashing literally everything in sight and allowing you to feel like an absolute badass when you do it.
So, how did you guys come up with cats?
Sebastian, our environment artist, is very much a cat person. He always talks about his cats. I love cats, both good and bad. I love cats. We decided the cats obviously give that lore of 9 lives, right? So we just decided to play on that. 9 levels, 9 cats, 9 HP each, etc.
So, talk about, it's called Clawpunk, so the claw is the cats. Talk about the punk aspect of your game.
Yep, the punk aspect, again, is just because we absolutely love everything to do with the punk genre. So everything from mohawks to heavy metal, raw metal heads in the group. So naturally it had to be a kick-ass metal soundtrack. So then we just decided to embrace the whole thing. So there's a lot of things in there that, rising up against things. So I'm not going to get too political about it today. But there are a lot of themes in there that make you think.
Punk is fight the system, right? Hack the planet.
Absolutely, yeah. Fight the system, fighting back, rising up. When we're better together, we're stronger as a community, and we can achieve great things when we work together.
So you have different types of cats in the game with different attack abilities, different sizes, speeds. What were some motivations and designs when putting those in? Obviously, I get a lot of classic Ninja Turtles vibes. So you have the 4 turtles and one dies, a new one comes in.
Yeah. We wanted the player to be able to switch between different characters all throughout play. I mean, I love games that allow you to commit to one character build, but we wanted to create a game that allowed you to play as any type throughout the run. And because it's a platformer, it's very fast-paced and very simple. It's quite easy to create characters that are more or less carbon copies of each other. So we decided to spend a little bit of time changing the way they move, the way they behave. Larry, for example, is entirely on a pogo stick, so it's like holding the jump button down the entire time, and he does nothing but blow himself up. So that's the stress relief character that allows you just to sort of skip a stage entirely. If it looks too challenging, just send Larry down and blow the stage up. If you want to pummel everything, Buck is just great for that. If you want to speed run through, Dash is naturally very agile, and there are other characters with different mechanics, which I won't go into today as a bit of a secret.
So I gotta know, did the team's cats make their way into the designs, like the people who have cats at home? Are there cats in this game?
Yeah, so we naturally gravitated towards themes that inspired us to come up with it's a bit hard to explain, but like Buck, for example, we always had in mind that he was going to be a Viking lore, and when we met Dave, the composer, naturally that's when the sort of Viking thing really started to manifest, because we could just use that background. There's a lot of British culture in there as well, and there's a lot of other characters inspired by sort of European lore, not just Vikings, but also sort of circus, wrestling, sort of biker chick. We'd take an amalgamation of all of that when we came to designing the characters, if that makes sense.
What were some inspirations when you were going through the design? Because I kind of look at it and immediately think kind of Broforce-esque kind of style.
Yeah, I like to say that when we started prototyping the game, we were playing everything from, as you say, Broforce was just one of them, Spelunky, Nuclear Throne, Downwell when that came out, Dead Cells is another big one as well. We played all those games and we just sort of pick lots of different bits and pieces for what makes those games great and what things that maybe could be improved based on sort of reviews and comments on the Steam forums, etc. So when it came to creating Clawpunk, we sort of said, what can we borrow from these games to make it great? So Broforce naturally gave you that ability to destroy everything, so we wanted to incorporate that. Doom had the push forward aspect of the gameplay, as I said, sort of as rewards you from just charging right in and not taking a cautious approach. And then, of course, we started to see player types naturally manifest from playing, like speedrunners just want to try and get through as quick as they can. Everyone else just loves breaking tiles, so we just pretty much embraced both of those player types.
How did your team decide on the visual aesthetic of pixel art over 2D animation or even 3D?
We love games from the 80s and the 90s, and that sort of definitely had a direct influence on the pixel art design. Katana Zero as well, and Hotline Miami, those games were very known for their pixel art style. We use a few modern things, like for the pixel art, like geeks, if you like. We don't normally you don't allow rotation of pixels, but we have shaders that allow you to rotate things, and just so it's a bit of a modern approach, but also a bit of a kickback to games of those times.
What's been the biggest challenge for your team, either creatively or technically, when making Clawpunk?
So we are a typical indie team up until where we partnered with Megabit. So we used to operate entirely from our own spare time, evenings, weekends. We have children, we have cats to look after. So we had to operate all around those challenges, and different time zones as well kind of affected us. So it was a matter of staying focused, committed, and persevering through any sort of life changes, whether it was a job change or anything or something like that. And obviously when Megabit gave us this chance to make this game and work on it full time, it was a life-changing experience for all of us.
Now, perhaps the biggest question, because you're a punk-centric game with the punk soundtrack, punk aesthetic, all that good stuff, is Blink 182 punk?
I'm not their biggest fan, put it that way. I can do a very bad impression of them, which I'm not going to do now. But let's just say, in Pantera and Metallica, those kinds of the bands that really get us going.
So when does your game come out? What platforms are you aiming for at launch?
So at the moment we're focused on the PC version. The exact release date is to be announced. However, it will be in the near future. That's all I can say.
And I know you can't answer, but I'm going to ask anyway. Any plans for Switch 2?
I would love to. We have aspirations to bring our games to absolutely any platform we can. We just have nothing to announce right now, but PC is our focus. But all I guess I could say is watch this space.